My name is Hyla Crane. I'm the Executive Director, and I'm so happy that you could join us this afternoon. As always, we are bringing you a wonderful guest, this one not from the world of the visual arts, but this is a musician who will be joining us for our first Musical Interludes concert of 2022. I want to introduce you to my friend, Ben Rosenblum. Hi, Ben.
Wonderful to see you, Hyla. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, Ben, this is actually going to be the third time you are coming to the Marco Island Center for the Arts. And for my friends out there, the reason for this is Ben is an extraordinarily talented jazz musician, both the piano and the accordion. He has taught me that the accordion is a very different instrument than I had first realized, and he is exceptional. So we are so excited that he will be coming down with his jazz trio on January 25th for a show at 5:30. So Ben, it's been a year. You were with us last year when all of our concerts were outside. Thank you for sticking with us and playing on a keyboard that we had to borrow from a church. This year we will be back in our beautiful art gallery, and we will actually have a piano for you. What have you been up to recently?
Oh, well, it's a great question. I first of all have to say huge thank you to you and everyone at Marco for hosting us again. This will be our third time. It's one of our favorite places to play. It's always a pleasure being surrounded by visual art. It really is a great inspiration in my life. I grew up with visual art around in the house, and so I always find that space to be very rewarding in terms of what we do, which is improvisation. So everything we're doing is spontaneous, and having beautiful objects and inspiration all around every direction you look is great for what we do, and I think speaks to what I always say in my publicity materials, which is that every show is a unique evening experience, a different set list. We never repeat set lists from night to night. We really try to cater our music to the setting and the unique experience that we're all sharing, the audience and the musicians alike. But what I've been
Wow.
up to the past year, I've been slowly, after 2020 was mostly virtual, 2021 has been a slow reacclimation to live music, to touring. I've been able to have a regular performance schedule in New York and the surrounding area for the last half of 2021. I got to do a couple of short tours, one in the southeast and also on the west coast. And then at the end of last year, I was in Europe for 3 weeks. I was performing in Belgium and Germany and in Switzerland. So that was a really wonderful experience as well. I've been playing a lot of jazz music, been writing some new original compositions. You might hear the premiere of some new music. And also, I've been playing with a lot of world musicians from different parts of the world. From Brazil, there's a great community of forró musicians that I've been playing accordion with here, as well as a Balkan music group in New York that I've been playing a lot with more recently, and a wonderful Indian singer named Kiran Alawalia I've also been performing with recently on accordion. So it's been all over the place in terms of what I've been up to, but I'm really excited to be back on the road with my band, where all of these influences come together into a big melting pot, and then that gets presented to the audience.
Well, our audience certainly has a treat in store for them. Now, I see that you're at your piano right now. Could we coax you and maybe give us just a little taste of what our audience might be hearing on January 25th?
Absolutely. I'll just play a short rendition of one of my favorite songs. I always tell my audiences that I'm going to share with them some music they've probably never heard before, and maybe also some music that they have heard before. You know, I like to try to mix it up. This one, we're definitely going to be paying tribute to a few great musicians who had long and historic careers who passed in the past couple of years. One of them is Chick Corea, one of my all-time influences, one of the most famous jazz pianists. And this is a song that he recorded on one of his last albums. It's actually a flamenco song by the great guitarist Paco de Lucia. So I hope you enjoy. This is Ziriab. Short rendition.
Round of applause. Thank you. Oh my God, I've got chills. That was just beautiful. Well, I know that we have quite a treat in store for us. And I mean, you are so accomplished at really what is a very early age. You're not as young as when I knew you 3 years ago, but sort of what has been your path in your musical career? How did you get from point A to where you are now?
Oh, it's a great question. You know, as the years go by, the path gets longer and longer and more windy. But I think it started. I always know where it started, which is that my mom introduced me to jazz. I had been taking piano lessons in classical music from a young age, and I always loved the piano. It felt like I was very shy and not talkative as a kid, and I felt like the piano was a space where I could express myself in a way that I wasn't able to with words when I was younger. But my mom introduced me to jazz when I was 12 or 13, and that's where I really found like lifelong passion for the music, because before I knew anything about jazz, my favorite thing about the piano was just sitting down and exploring and playing what I guess I would now call a free improvisation with no music. And so jazz gave me a whole set of tools and an avenue for exploring what I really loved about the piano and about music, which was creating spontaneously, trying to find new melodies in the moment, following chord progressions. And, you know, what I learned with jazz is that there was a whole history and lineage of people doing that at the highest, most virtuosic level. So I started studying jazz in New York City, which is one of the best places in the world to do it. I would say that, I mean, I learned a great deal from a number of incredibly influential teachers, among them my teacher at Juilliard, Mr. Frank Kimbrough, who sadly also passed recently, but was an incredible mentor for me, somebody who played with everyone and could play in any style. And also my teacher at Columbia University, Bruce Barth. But I also had a kind of branching path when I picked up the accordion, which maybe I'll play for you later on. It's really taken things and made a complete 90-degree turn in some ways, because through the accordion, I heard it first in a jazz context, which is somewhat surprising because it's an unusual instrument for jazz. But I heard it in Maria Schneider's orchestra, where Frank Kimbrough was playing piano, actually, and a wonderful accordionist named Gary Versace was playing the accordion. And I heard it in that context, and it was so melodic and sensitive, and I just fell in love with the sound of it. So my brother got me an accordion for Christmas when I was young, and I messed around with it, and eventually I decided to get more serious about it because of various opportunities from musicians who wanted to collaborate with me on the accordion. So I started studying with a teacher who is from Brazil. His name is Vitor Gonçalves. If any of listeners saw me perform at Marco Island this past year, I was playing with a great Brazilian bass player named Eduardo Bello, who I may have met through Vitor, actually. I kind of got introduced to Brazilian music and the Brazilian music community in New York through Vitor. Started playing a lot of Brazilian music and with a lot of Brazilian musicians in New York. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Balkan music, klezmer music, Irish, Eastern European music of different sorts, tango, French musette, really Indian music. Through the accordion, I started meeting all of these people from different parts of the world, and New York is such a diverse community of musicians that all of whom have been so gracious in sharing their culture and their expertise with me, and collaborating with me, even though I feel like always, the New Yorker who's just kind of trying to figure out how to not stand out in a group that is playing the music so beautifully and personally and authentically. So that's been my musical life recently, is half kind of a foundation in jazz that's always at the heart, and half of these incredibly disparate influences that have been informing my music and the music that I listen to and the people that I meet.
Wow. Well, you've mentioned the accordion, and I know we're going to get close to the end, but maybe could we have just a little tiny taste of what we're talking about with the accordion?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I think a lot of people think of the accordion as being a very specific and maybe an instrument that's suited towards certain styles of music more than others, but I think that it's actually a very versatile instrument because it has many different sound palettes, some harsh, some very sensitive. So, I think of it as kind of like a acoustic synthesizer, or an instrument that's a lot closer to the human voice. So I want to play you just a short rendition of this Irish melody that's from the movie Barry Lyndon, originally a traditional song. It's called The Women of Ireland.
Oh, that's just beautiful. Ooh, really gorgeous. So, for my friends out there, please, this is going to be an extraordinary evening of music surrounded by the artwork in our gallery, and I don't want anybody out there to miss it. Now, Ben, you talked about how your teacher at Juilliard, your teacher at Columbia, some of these other musicians. Is there any other person or the who or the what that has been an influence on your music? You've listed many already. Is there any other one that you want to add to that list before we wrap up?
I mean, I could talk about influences all day, absolutely. I mean, there's such a rich tradition of jazz music and hundreds of years of the music, in fact, and all of the music that informs jazz before it. You know, we play a song called Bambula that was written by William Gottschalk, who was an American classical composer from the 19th century, you know. But all of this music is part of an American identity. Jazz music is sometimes called America's classical music. I think that there's a lot to that in terms of how vital jazz is to the American cultural narrative, especially from a country that's so young compared to so many other cultures. So, in that spirit, I would say that many of my heroes are from the jazz tradition. Duke Ellington is probably a name that everyone knows. Yes.
My favorite. Okay.
You know, Bill Evans, Thelonious Monk, you know, to more recent pianists like McCoy Tyner, Hank Jones is maybe a name that not everyone knows, but I would say that my biggest influencers musically and in life are storytellers. You know, I gravitate a lot towards working with singers, and I listen to a lot of music with singers, and as a instrumentalist, I try to play in a way that communicates a story without words. So one name I'll put out there that people might not know is a singer named Abby Lincoln, somebody who is you know, if anybody watched that documentary Summer of Soul that came out recently of all the footage of the big music festival the same year as Woodstock that happened in Harlem, where Aretha Franklin was singing and Nina Simone and, you know, Mahalia Jackson, all of these icons of R&B and gospel music. Abby Lincoln was there as well. And she was a very vocal, outspoken civil rights activist in her time. She composed a lot of music with Max Roach, like the Freedom Now suite. And throughout her career, on all of her albums, throughout many changes in her voice and her way of singing, she had this way of telling a story and communicating what she always referred to as the magic in the music. You know, there's something in it that is able to touch people's souls and spirits and captivate them in a way that, you know, just telling a story sometimes doesn't accomplish. So Abby Lincoln is somebody I'd encourage you all to check out. And yeah, I'll pause there because I could really genuinely talk all day about influences.
Well, I have to tell you, I am certainly going to go check out that documentary, and I have no doubt if I were doing this long enough that the day would come when I would ask some young jazz musician and their influence would be Ben Rosenblum, because I know that you teach as well as perform, and you obviously are going so many places and treating the world with your music, which is such a gift. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I am so excited for January 25th when you're going to be back here with us. For my friends out there, a few other things that are happening here at the Marco Island Center for the Arts. Our exhibition right now that we'll have through the first week in March is Florida, Paradise Found, featuring the works of Emily James, Rachel Pierce, Phyllis Pransky, and Joanne Sanborn. We are going to be hosting an artist talk panel on January 19th at 6 o'clock. You'll have a chance to listen to these artists, ask some questions, And of course, you can be guaranteed that we will be having a complimentary glass of wine, courtesy of our wine sponsor, Total Wine and More of Naples. The next week, Ben will be with us on January 25th at 5:30. Tickets are still available, so you can go to our website, www.marcoislandart.org, or just give us a call at 239-394-4221. Tickets are $25 for our members, $30 for non-members, and we'll hook you up. And the next night, because we never rest here at the Marco Island Center for the Arts, we will be hosting a special book talk and conversation with Dr. Paul Nussbaum, who will be speaking to us about brain health, something very important for all of us. And tickets are still available for that. Those are only $10. So again, give us a call and we'll make sure that we get you in. Ben, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for finding us here at the Marco Island Center for the Arts and just bringing the scope and breadth of your work, of your talent to us. We are forever grateful for that. So thank you, my friend.
Oh, thank you always for your support. I can't wait to see all of your audiences and perform for them once again.
Well, we can't wait. For my friends out there, you know what's going on here, so we look forward to seeing you. You know, when you cross into our building, when you enter the Marco Island Center for the Arts, you become a part of our art family. And what do? Well, every day, working as hard as we can, in every way, we are striving to be your art home. See you later, my friends. Bye-bye.